Hey guys, I'd like to welcome you to the Kortex Media Podcast, where we navigate the fast-paced world of automotive and more. I'm your host, Corson Schmidt. Here today, I have Sergej Marojevic. He is a leading force in the electrification and renewable energy landscape, with over 24 years of experience spanning electrical engineering, energy distribution, and large-scale EV infrastructure. Originally from Eastern Europe, Sergej holds a degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Belgrade and has spent the last decade at the forefront of the EV revolution in the United States. As the founder of the Tesla Power Company and a key figure at Q-Charge, Sergej has led nearly 500 commercial EV infrastructure projects across the country, collaborating with major utility and government agencies to drive innovation in clean energy and grid modernization. Known for his hands-on, cross-disciplinary approach and commitment to transparency and sustainability, Sergej brings a unique global perspective and a real-world expertise to every project, making him a true pioneer in the world of smart electrification. Thanks for coming, Sergej.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, no worries. I'm excited to dive in this conversation with you. But before we dive in, I kind of touched on your background in the introduction there. But you've worked in the electrical and energy sector for over 2 decades, and you've been deployed, deeply involved with the EV infrastructure in the last 10 years. But what first drew you to the EV side of the industry, of the automotive industry?
I mean, I grew up in a mechanical engineering family, so my father was a mechanical engineer, and kind of something like just you know how it goes, father to son, like always take over some of the, teachings from your parents. So I started basically from very young and very early age being involved into mechanical engineering. Okay. And as a very young kid, I was playing with the RC vehicles, right? So my vision was, and I was always saying, like, if we can have them in a small version, why not to have them in a big version? And eventually how I kind of ventured, from my youth, being here, like in my old country, Yugoslavia, and then I came over here in the United States 2000. From my mechanical engineering, kind of shifted through the construction side, that I kind of found my path, towards the electrical industry. Anyway, that was kind of my first passion, was electricity, and all the innovations of Nikola Tesla. I mean, he's my countryman, so that's one of the reasons. Also, kind of like, like it's been all the time. I've been always very passionate about electricity.
That's super cool. That's awesome. So for those who are unfamiliar with Q-Charge's mission, do you mind giving them some info and some background on kind of what you guys do?
Well, yeah, sure. So our company, Q-Charge, we started about 2.5 years ago. With a group of our several experts in the industry. We gathered together and decided, let's open the company so we can solve several issues that we have currently in the United States. And I believe so that we are on a good path. So of course, we're in a startup, like very, very small company in a beginning. However, we did with all our past of employments that we actually worked in the other companies. I helped several companies to build their EV department from the ground up, and eventually end up with my partner today that we open our Q-Charge. So basically we have our own, we developed our own in-house software so that we can, because majority of the charging stations today that they're, let's say, non-operable and not working, is due to the software and connectivity.
Okay.
Sometimes it's not only a software problem; it's also the networking devices, right? Or just simply, power. When you don't have a power, you don't have nothing to operate with. So, in generally, we solved a lot of issues with the connectivity with the software and operations. For example, when you do not even have a connectivity, how to also in field, I would say, or let's say, there is no necessity to be actually connected to the network all the time, that you can still retain operation of your charging stations. That's like one of the innovations that we kind of right now working on, and let's say I would say actually finalizing it even to the better, to be working even more and performing even better. When it comes to the hardware side, we actually also wanted to make sure that we are using the proper equipment that is one of the, let's say, state of the art, or at least with the best and the better internal elements, which was designed and it was engineered by us internally. We basically said,
Awesome.
like what we would like to have, in which way to be designed, and that's basically kind of manufactured for us. And then also we did kind of think a little bit ahead of the time. So our charging stations, also due to the safety, we are the only one that we have fire suppression systems inside, meaning that, let's say, in case if any type of electrical fire, God forbid, happens, or even if it's like vehicle gets caught on the fire and basically transferred from the vehicle to the charging station itself internally has the fire suppression system, so it will stop the fire or spreading the fire internally or onto the charging station. So at least there is one step of the safety and a safety mind for the people that they,
That's really
these
cool.
days, yeah, because these days you can hear a lot of times, like the issues, it's all the fires and about the charging stations and that they're related and so on and so forth. So that's kind of one of the things. And also we integrated the AI cameras, which means that we can, in a real time, we can catch and we can actually see any type of behaving around the charging stations, use of the charging stations or misuse of the charging stations, which is basically connected right away with our software, which gives us the red flags. If, of course, there is a red flag, meaning something is being done, it shouldn't be. And then, of course, where everything is moving in a proper way, that's also kind of one way of to secure, let's say, your assets on your property.
That's really cool. And you guys have an app for your product as well, do you not?
Correct. So yes, that's basically part of the software, right? So the software,
Okay.
which basically we call that OCPP. We are currently, majority of the charging stations in the United States, actually worldwide, they are on 1.6J OCPP. But right now they do have like, I would say maybe about 20 to 30% of them that they already transitioned to 2.0.1. Which that's connected with the software. So each I would say company, they have their own software. With their own software, there comes also their own application. However, we do have centralized systems that they can be found actually. So all the operators and all the charging stations, they can be right now these days easily found already on the Google Maps, because the Google Maps and a majority of the companies are using the API for the Google mapping and showing themselves on the maps. It's through their API, which is then basically and it's also integrated with one of the biggest I would say public online software, which is called PlugShare. On a PlugShare, you're going to find pretty much everybody over there as well, where the charging stations are in your locations and so on and so forth. And you will be then also directed straight to which operator or which software you should use at the time, because a lot of brands, they have different type of operators.
Okay, super cool. And you guys, I also saw on your website that you guys do solar power as well. I think that's really cool. Do you see companies pushing more towards solar charging, or is that something that's new to the industry?
Well, look, I mean, solar charging, it's not new to the new industry, and not many. Well, a lot of people actually would push and they would like to have free energy. The problem is the footprint. Is it possible? Yes, it is, but unfortunately, you're also limited with how much of a space it's your roof or your property has. So,
Yeah.
And then also you're limited with how many sunny days or sunny hours, let's say, like in the year that you have. Depending if you're south, north, right, or you east or west. So all that kind of impacts also really that kind of, how reliable that is on a long term. Yes, then you need to have also a larger, battery storage, capacities that you can operate and run also during let's say, the non-sunny days, or let's say even during the nighttime. So all that kind of then your upfront cost, sometimes it's then because of that increase really very high. However, I will advocate it on a long term, no matter what type of investment is upfront. Like, is it like on a bit more expensive and more, let's say, self-sufficient, or be like this, like a microgrid systems with the solar systems, or something to be with the on-grid that is kind of quickly put yourself into the business with the EV industry and charging stations. Either way, it's very, very fast ROI on this, and it's very
For
profitable.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So you've worked in two different continents in the world. You worked in the US and Europe. What differences do you see in how each region approaches EV infrastructure? And what best practices have you brought from the European market to bring to the American market?
Well, European market, for example, on a level 2 charging stations, they already unified pretty across entire EU. If the charging station is in a public sector, they don't have cables and cords. They're just providing
Okay.
basically the outlets. So you as a customer, you're obligated to have your own charging cable in your car, which of course people are going to think, oh yeah, that's a big and heavy cable. Of course, no, that's a level 2 charging. However, yes, it's sometimes it's annoying that you have to have it and all the time thinking about the cable that you have to, you know, take it with you. But European mentality, they kind of adopted, and mainly that happened because a lot of cables got cut because of the copper recyclers and theft of the cables and just vandalism in practice. And customers neglected, just in general. You know, people in generally would, you know, use the charging station, and then they would, instead of roll up the cable back nicely and neatly, they would just, you know, drop them on the ground. So eventually that started to become a little bit of a problem, and that's, let's say, one of the differences. And here in the United States we still don't have that, and also mentality in the United States to kind of you know, make people, hey, you have to be now responsible for carrying your own cable. It's also so a little bit I would say challenging, but we do have the same issues over here as well: cable cutting and vandalism, and the same customer neglectance of the cables. So I kind of thought about it, you know, how we can solve that as a problem, and I do have a little bit of a solution, which is we are selling a cable. Well, it's kind of pedestal cabinet. What means that your cables of the charging stations are inside the cabinet, and basically they have kind of like a flap doors. If it's a double cabinet or if it's a single cabinet, depends of if it's like a dual charger or a single charger. So then they have two cables, right? Depends. But as soon as you activate the charging station, it will pop the door on the side through your software, and it's gonna give you the access to the cable. Then you as a customer, you access to the cable. Then you're gonna be able to start your charging session. And after your charging session is finished, your, of course, application is going to prompt you, your, you know, charging session is done. You know, please take your cable and put it back in. Once you put it back in and close the door, it's basically end of the charging session. So that way, in a way, we're right now putting a bit of I would say responsibility on our customers and clients. The reason is, and that's not should be that much, you know, just to simply put the cable back into the cabinet, close it. So for the future, you know, nobody can access to that cables, you know, like easily, so we can prevent the thefts.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. That's a great idea, and it'd be really cool if you had like you know, airlines, if you pull it so far and then it self retracts. Even something like that would be a really cool idea for inside the box as well.
That's actually part of the mechanism. So pretty much
Oh,
all those pedestals and well, not all of the pedestals, but we do have the pedestals with the retractable mechanisms, or without mechanism. Most of the clients, especially with this type of let's say solution where the cable are inside the cabinet, yes, we have a retractable mechanism for that.
Really cool. Do you see more consumers buying the chargers and implementing them into their house, or do you see more companies buying them for their employees?
Well, I would say it's both. I mean, and it increased in both sectors. I am not basically that much focused into the private sector in the homes, but I do have a lot of people who probably would call me here and there at our company and leave us a voicemail that they would like, a house installation. So then we
Yeah.
do have some referrals that we can, refer down to our subcontractors and contractors. They actually do the work for us. However, for the businesses, yes, and for the fleets, we see that increase. It's it's getting there. It's getting the momentum. A lot of, let's say, companies that they are in some type of a transportation or any type of a manufacturing industry where they need to transport their goods from their factories to their distributing centers, or more and more trying to cut their costs, right, for transportation. So what not better than cutting or start saving the money on the gas. And not only that you're saving the money on the gasoline, just basically driving electric vehicle, it's also on your maintenance. On average, they said that you spend maintaining, let's say, some type of a mid-size truck, or let's say mid-size, or let's say big-size full-size van, and if it's, let's say, ICE vehicle, it takes you between, let's say, $6,000 to maybe $8,000 per year to maintain that kind of a vehicle. And compared to, let's say, your maintenance fee that you pay for your vehicle per year on electric, it's like around $100, 120, or maybe some $200, depending of a depends of how luxury your car it is, right? Of course.
Yeah.
But you can just imagine, how much that actually helps to the companies on a larger scale when they have large fleets.
For sure. No, that totally makes sense. And I think we're going to start seeing more of that, not even just for fleets, but for companies, because a lot more of their employees are turning towards electric vehicles, buying electric vehicles, and if they don't have the option to charge at their job, they're not going to be happy. Because what's the point if they have an electric vehicle? They need to charge it, and it'd be super handy if they did have it at work, and it would look great on the company side if they did implement a system where they can help their employees get some charging so they can actually get back home at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, look, more and more people are aware, and more people are transitioning to this. And it is, look, we're basically having a warfare. Who's going to have more energy? Is it going to be this industry or that industry? Is it like just general construction, general housing? Is it data centers? So it's like it's a huge demand on energy, and that is the only thing I would say that it's slowing down. One of the, I would say, pointers it's slowing down in the United States of advancing, a little bit faster, is because we just don't have that enough of energy that we need,
For sure.
today, and that's kind of it's slowing us down.
For sure. No, that totally makes sense. Because we're kind of slowing down on the EV push for automobiles, like cars themselves, do you see manufacturers coming out with more hybrid and ICE vehicles, or do you think it's going to be much pushed more towards hybrid and EV still in the next 10 years?
You know what? It's kind of mixed. I have a mixed feeling about it. I mean, when I go to the EV summits and I see, so many new advancements and new technologies that they come out in auto industry, and from Ford and Nissan, from American industry, German industry, Japanese, Chinese, it doesn't matter anymore who. There is like so many novelties. So and at the same time, because we're doing the catch-up game with that energy. The hybrids are also very popular because they know that, like, at least, hey, if I don't have anywhere electricity, I can always get somewhere, I can get some type of any additional alternative fuel. Is that going to be hydrogen? Is that going to be gasoline, or whatever it is? At least I have, solution, not to be stranded on the road. But you know what? The technology on the battery it's advancing. I mean, you already have now vehicles that they can go like, I believe so, like 600 miles on one single charge.
It's
So
crazy.
It's gonna just getting better and better. So it's not that much. I mean, tell me one ICE vehicle that can go, regular consumer vehicle, right? That can go 600 miles on one gasoline tank.
Yeah.
Maybe some trucks, big trucks, maybe they will, but they have also very big and large, tanks or dual
Fuel
tanks
tanks.
too. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, and we can only wait, right? We can only wait to see what the future brings. But yeah, battery advancement is huge on kind of what's pushing. Like the past 5 years, battery advancement has been crazy. Like when they first started coming out with electric vehicles, they were only getting a range of 200 miles, and now they're getting up to 600 miles. What's another couple of years going to be, right? They might get to 1,000 miles, but it's part of the future, right?
Yes, for sure.
As for chargers, does that affect how your chargers are manufactured and built if the batteries can withstand a way deeper charge?
Well, it's the charging stations basically how they work. It's let's call it like in a certain way sophisticated outlet. And the reason why I'm going to say it like that in a simplistic word is it basically provides you a limited current to your vehicle based on the capacity of your property, whatever that you have. But your vehicle as a vehicle is basically have the charging capacities on board, and the vehicle's program is going to basically demand how much of electricity or energy he can pull, because each battery it's a little bit different, each vehicle is different, so that's why we have different charging rates, and it's very this type of industry is very dynamic, and when anybody asks for a data, it's not like a very easy streamlined data. We have thousands and thousands of vehicles, we have thousands of manufacturers of the charging stations, and then everything is behaving differently in the different scenarios, so you can just imagine how many scenarios you can have out there based on that one, so and it is very dynamic industry, I would say.
For sure, yeah. There's so many ways you can do it, right? There's the companies can make a hybrid, they can make an electric vehicle, they can make a short range electric vehicle that's smaller, they can make a huge range electric vehicle that's really going to travel a lot further. As for smart charging, do you see many companies getting into the smart charging side of EV, or do you see them still with the traditional plug-in chargers?
Well, clarify for me, what do you think by smart charging, right? Smart charging, it could be multiple things in this industry. So just I want to kind of clarify that.
Smart charging, more kind of your type of product would be smart charging, because you guys have those AI cameras. You can charge it. You can control it from your phone. You can basically use it to monetize and have other people use your charger if that's what you're looking for as well. That kind of smart charger.
Yeah. Well, look, the difference between, let's say, home chargers and smart chargers, right? So the home chargers, the only difference is you are not nobody's monitoring you, like to see, for example, behaving on a charging station, and if something goes wrong, you can just call on a 800 number, and there you go, you're going to get a tech center, you're going to give them the serial number. By serial number, they're going to see in the way how they fix your computer, they can fix your charger, right? That's the only downside. You do not have that, because then that basically requires a monthly subscription, so that you have basically monitoring. And a lot of people, they're not going to go for that because they say, oh, I don't need it, it's just basically, I plug and play, which is completely fine. Now, with the smart charging, the difference is that basically that gives you that it can be used for the fleet, for the monetization of the money, monitoring all those charging stations on a distances. For example, specifically, some properties are going to just simply put the charging stations to their property as an amenity to their tenants. They're not going to even charge their tenants. They just want to kind of create that. So for all that, but then again, they don't know how to operate it. They don't know how to maintain them and stuff like that. So they will pay the subscription. Based being on a subscription, then company like ours, right? Q-Charge, we can then monitor them and see in our platform to see what's going on with the charging stations in the real time. If something is going on, it is misbehaving, or we're going to see somebody's complaining in real time through the phone app, and it's going to create a ticket and says, on this location, this type of a charger, it's basically simply not working. We will see that in the real time, and then we're going to address it right away. Our response time, it's in 48 hours. It's usually for 48 hours. Awesome. on a simple tasks, yes, on the remote stuff. But when it comes to more comprehensive things that you have to send people in a field, then usually those solutions get solved within a week. But again, our charging stations, the way how we design them and develop them, everything that is done, you never lose the revenue or operation on a charging station. It always provides the service to your customer and client.
For sure. Do you see more? Has there been a lot of gas stations getting in contact with you guys? Like gas stations, they'll buy charging stations to have set up at the fuel stations so people can charge their vehicle if they don't have an ICE vehicle.
Yes, funny you ask that. Actually, the past 2 years, a lot of gas stations and gas owners would approach to me and ask, how complicated it would be to place 1 to maybe 2 charging stations, also to future-proof their own properties, because they do have
sure.
some of them, they have convenience stores in front of the gas station. So then that means that they do have also unused parking space. And gas stations and convenience stores are basically kind of quick footprint in and out. So that's where we're not. I mean, that would be the best, actually, the location where to put also the charging stations.
For sure, yeah, it'd be totally the best. And then you're going to have more charging stations around, so if you are driving an electric vehicle and going on a road trip, you don't have to try and scatter or go out of your way to find a charging station, because there's so many gas stations in the world that you can just pull up and there'll be a charging station exactly at the fuel station.
Yeah, no.
What are some... Sorry, go ahead.
No. Yeah, no, I agree. That's
Okay.
what I wanted to say, just that I agree.
Yeah. What are some of the other new trends that are coming out within the EV and charging industry?
Well,
Are there new technologies coming out?
couple. I mean, it's a couple technologies that is already buzzing about that for a while in the past 2-3 years, but nothing major was yet, let's say, happening. And the first of all, the vehicles are not yet optimized to adopt that technology. So I think that's the reason why it's developing in a slow pace, and that would be bidirectional charging, which means when you have a battery with a charger at your household, then basically also you can take the electricity from the grid when there is electricity, and you're going to charge your battery, and then that way you can charge your vehicle. However, let's say in the time of a disaster, if there is not enough of the let's say power, you don't have let's say it's power outage, you can then use that battery as your power of the home, and then also as well, when that is drained, your vehicle can then give the vehicle battery can put the energy back to your house as well, and then power your house. So that's kind of
really
called
cool.
bidirectional charging. Like I said, it's already existing. For example, a vehicle to a vehicle, or right now, certain vehicles can charge other vehicles as well. So you can have a cable that you can basically plug in between them, and it's going to charge. Is going to basically some large vehicle, it can charge smaller car very very easily and help out. Yeah, I lost myself
Okay.
right now where was I going with this, to be honest with you.
No, that's okay. I have another question. Why wouldn't car manufacturers or battery manufacturers make a system that when you drive, you have alternators that run off the drivetrain that also will recharge the battery? Is that something that you've seen manufacturers kind of doing, or is that something that they're not doing because you need that infrastructure for a charger?
You mean like when you're driving, that you have that generative drives, charge of the batteries through the braking or just propulsion. That's basically some vehicles they have that, not many.
Okay.
A lot of them it's usually the hybrids. And now I also remember that you asked me for the novelties about what I see as the novelties are happening. I wanted to also touch the basis of the wireless charging. That's basically, I think it's going to be the future. The vehicles are not yet optimized, so we don't have that many vehicles that they can actually accept the wireless charge. That's basically right now in a final, I would say, test phases.
Yeah.
But a lot of companies are already exploring possibilities, how convert vehicles to the wireless charging. And look, basically today, as I see, and I already said it probably multiple times, the vehicles today we have is basically your iPhone on the wheels. And that's nothing. We used to, plug our phones. Now we already do the wirelessly charging, so that's going to be the same way with the cars. Right now we have to plug them. In the future, we're going to just basically roll over some, metal plate, which is going to do the charging for yourself. And I think that's going to be the future until we're not going to start flying.
For sure. No, it can't be that far away. But for the wireless chargers, how does it work with the rubber tires? Because with the rubber tires not insulated, so that actually can't go through into the battery system.
Well, it's basically induction plates, so it's wireless. So you don't need to touch metal to metal.
Okay.
So it's basically transmitted wirelessly, which means you have one metal plate that is connected to the body of the vehicle. One is on the ground, and it's kind of like magnetic field, right? I don't know if you played with the kid when you have that resistance from the magnet, and they kind of slip left and right when you have very strong magnets. So that's kind of similar to it between the induction plates. So then those energy is gonna go over, and then it's gonna through the air. It's basically flying the energy. Right now we do have we already achieved like 95% efficiency. Compared that was in the past was like around 55, 65. Now it's already at 95%, so it's rising.
That's crazy. That it's going to be totally different within the future of even vehicle technology and charging technology. It's going to be pretty crazy. But what are some of the biggest obstacles facing widespread EV adoption and infrastructure deployment today, and how is Q-Charge working to address some of those challenges?
Well, I mean, there is a mixture of a lot of different factors, right? It's from politics, from people's mindsets, from our bureaucracy, from shortage of the materials, shortage of the people. It's a lot of factors. It's not only impacting the EV industry, it's impacting actually a lot of other industries as well. I can only speak, of course, what I see from electrical aspect, and not only, like I said, electrical aspect of the charging stations for the electric vehicles, but just in general of any type of electrical work. There is a lot of deficiency in a lot of things. In some instances, for example, for very large project, if you want to do something, like in very large equipments, you need the wait times. Or I just recently heard for some like very large generators, it's a wait time. It's 10 years. So you can imagine, like who the heck is going to be waiting for 10 years? And so they're making the projects today what will be then installed 10 years from now, and they have to choose the proper technology that is going to be 10 years from now still good, not being obsolete. So you can imagine, how advanced technology we're talking about over here.
Yeah, for sure. That's pretty crazy. I just have one more question about industry trends. Do you see the construction or the agricultural or farming side pushing towards electric as well, or do you think they're going to stay more ICE vehicles because when they need fuel, they're not going to be able to recharge throughout the day, sort of thing?
Yeah, look, I don't know yet how the agriculture is going to shift, because we don't have that many agricultural electric vehicles yet. We barely have some, like the trucks. I did hear that they do have some of course, already tractors and machineries that they are electric, but like you said, like when the farmer needs it, he needs it. If there is no energy, there's no energy. He's not going to be waiting for God to give him, something. So he's going to go for a diesel. But maybe, like it's gonna shift the way how we're shifting these days. If you see in regular consumer side, not everybody switched to the electric car right away. You had your gasoline vehicle, but you also had electric vehicle. Every day you will be using electric vehicle. You will be using the gas vehicle once, twice, maybe 3 times a year when you go in those maybe potentially long trips, right? Just quick escapes, right? That you're gonna be driving, and you just want to have that peace of mind, that you don't have to worry, okay, where I'm gonna stop for charging. And then
for sure,
little by little, even those people that they had that type of a separation of the life, right, of ICE and EV, once they finally had that confidence, when they started, let me try first long trip, second long trip, 10th, 100th, okay, now I feel comfortable. Now I'm going to get rid of my ICE vehicle, and now I have three actually electric cars in the garage. So that's, I think, it's just a small of a mindset, and it's education of the people. And I always say, go and try it. Yeah, and the people, when they try electric car, they change their minds. I mean, I met a lot of people that they were advocating against the electric vehicles until they didn't sit and had their own experience. When they had their own experience, they changed their minds.
No, for sure. I've never driven one, but I'd like to. I've heard that they're really nice driving. They're quiet. It's kind of scary how quiet the vehicles are, but
Yes.
it's cool at the same time. I'd love to take one for a rip because I've heard that they're pretty quick, and that's always fun.
It is. I mean, if you're a tech or a sci-fi fan, I mean, it's when you drive any of those electric cars, you're like being in a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What are some of the goals for Q Charge over the next few years?
Well, we're basically, hoping to create some a good and dependable network of charging stations, which I believe that we already are on a really good path. We don't have any complaints so far on our. We have really pretty good feedback, which we're proud about it. What we said, right? We put a lot
Yeah,
of blood and sweat and knowledge into our past experience. So to ensure that make sure that our software and everything it's working really good. But in general, yes. I mean, the plan is we would like to create several, as much as we can, let's say nationwide impact. We're starting right now with a major, major states that they are actually the majority of adopters of the EVs, right? So not all 50 states adopted in the same equal level, electric vehicles. So there is no yet point to venture into those states. However, why not? I mean, we're open to be on nationwide providers. Whomever wants, to install a charging station to their property, we will gladly guide them from the A to Z. Provide everything as a turnkey solution. Since we do have everything, we literally have everything in house, and we can also help on installation and guide on installation with their local people. We don't have, of course, installing people and body of the people in every corner of the country, but we can always help on providing type of guidance, how that needs to be installed.
for sure. No, that's super cool. That's awesome. And what are some of the short-term goals to hit those long-term goals in the next 6 to 12 months? What are some of the short-term goals that you guys really want to get clear on?
Well, right now we are breaking ground with our first supercharging center that is going to be built in North Hollywood, in California and Los Angeles,
Yeah.
which is, I would say, our baby. And it's really one of it's going to have one of the fastest charging stations in the region over there, and also that many in one location. So we're basically placing 16 fast charging stations.
Wow.
And that's going to be all, everything is going to be off grid. So it's not going to be connected and using Los Angeles electrical power. Unfortunately, they didn't had what we needed it. We discussed and they said that even within the 4 years, they don't even think that it's worth of calling them back. So
Wow.
I don't know how many years we would need to wait for that, center to be powered up. So we kind of started thinking out of the box. It took us a little bit longer time because, and I also am happy that the owner of the property didn't lose the faith in our engineering and the timelines of trying to provide the proper solution and that is going to be working for us and that we can actually create our center over there because it's in really nice and beautiful location in middle of the valley.
For sure. If you're not using the LA power, do you guys have multiple generators then below ground that are creating the power for the chargers?
Well, it's not conventional generators as people were thinking, and it's not necessary to be below ground. It can be above the ground, and there are different type of generators. Today you have even solar generators. So our systems it's kind of powered with we created something that creates alternative power on the generators with the solar with the battery storage systems. With an addition that in the future we will add solar canopies to reduce also energy costs for about 20 to 30%, because every
Wow.
corner that you can cut, your expenses in this industry, like even 1% means a lot.
For sure. What's the average? So, say if you got a Tesla Model Y, what is the average charge time on a fast charge versus a slower charge, regular charger?
Well, it's very kind of difficult question and difficult answer. It's you can't simply just say that, because every vehicle has a different size of a battery, and every vehicle, due to the software on onboard of that vehicle,
Yeah.
also charges on a different rates. But let's say on average, if we take like everything just on average between all, let's say, super fast vehicles, let's say luxurious, to those the most cheapest ones, um, on a home charging station, let's say if it's a level 2, which is usually 32 amps, and that comes to 7.4 kilowatts per hour, it
Mm-hmm.
takes basically kind of like 6 to 8 hours of a charge time. So that's basically overnight charging. Now, the higher the ampacity of the charging station it is, the shorter the time of the charging session it is overnight. So that basically kind of like the shortest we have right now, it's around 2.5 hours on an 80 amp
Wow.
to 100 amp charger. But you have to understand, majority of the households today in the United States, they have most of it 100 amps of the entire panel for their entire household. So it's very
Yeah.
difficult to find also that electricity or energy in the house. That's the reason why a lot of people are kind of, I would say, also turn towards the public charging and trying to find where they can actually charge. And to answer how fast you can charge on your fast charger, that's basically on those like that you see the big machines that they look like gas stations. Again, depends on the capacity of the charger, but these days, on average, if we say fast charger should be something that is above 150 kilowatt, you should see something, let's say, between 15 to 30 minutes, you would be
Wow.
charged. And you have to understand, not everybody's going to be completely empty, right? I mean, people, and especially EV drivers, right, these days are becoming more and more conscious, and they already know when they're coming around 30%, they're already kind of they're being on a lookout where they're going to stop to charge.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to be completely empty. And also, when you are planning your road trips, for example, now everything is integrated with your maps. You basically simply put your destination A from this to destination B, and it's gonna down the road. It's gonna find you every single stop where you need to stop and how long you're gonna need to stop for a charge, depending is that a fast charge or a slower charge. And it's gonna calculate the entire road trip for you, so you don't even have to worry where to stop. Now, the only tricky part is sometimes, yes, when you come to the vicinity of those charging stations, some of them maybe they don't work, but they do have always in those circles. Whenever you have one charging station, you will find probably a couple more.
For sure. No, that's super cool. Who is your biggest role model in your entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, that would be probably multiple people. Of the dead people, it was Nikola Tesla. Just his the way how he was mind. Like more adventure. I mean, adventurist and an inventorist mind. I just wanted to try. Let me
Yeah.
do it. Like I don't need anybody to tell me I can't. Seeing that how he was, right? I mean, people would call him crazy, crazy old man, and all this technology, even to these days, it's still based on his inventions.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and I would say my second person would be my father. I mean, he was always, as a young boy, he was 16 years old when he left, the village, and he went to graduate high school. After high school, he went to engineering, become also professor, and then working for some companies, factories, and then after that, he started on his own, being as a independent consultant and working for so many other companies. Uh, until he didn't open his companies as well. It kind of I kind of had him all my life. We were like very very I would say
That's awesome.
connected through the work. So I kind of learned a lot from him.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. If there was a young entrepreneur wanting to get into the EV infrastructure and EV vehicles, automotive side of things, what advice would you give them?
Go slow. I mean, like I know that everybody think that this is very lucrative and it's today's it's the in thing, and everybody wants to kind of it's a lot of buzz, it's a lot of uncertainty of course as well. Everybody are also skeptical, not everybody, but that's what I'm saying. Everything in a life you have to actually kind of take it in a slower pace. I learned at least from my experience working for other companies, whenever they kind of fast pace certain things, it kind of backfired, and then you start having a big burn rate of your money, and you find yourself just in kind of that uh, you know sinking ship. You're just drowning and drowning. You can't get out of that. So that's why I'm saying just go slow, because the sales cycles are very long. So it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a kind of simple thing like, okay, I'm just gonna buy this. I'm buying charging stations, selling charging stations. Sales cycle, it's very long. They're long term, and then of course the implementation it's even longer. Unfortunately, we do have to deal with some type of a bureaucracy that nobody likes to, but unfortunately we gotta abide by it, and it takes a long time. And there are I would also backlogged, because like I said, energy it's on high demand. It doesn't matter anymore if that's electricity, is that gas, is that water. All those departments are right now on a high demand, and
For
especially when we
sure.
have here and there some of the disasters, like we had those LA fires, or when we had some, like those tornadoes and hurricanes, disasters and stuff like that. So always you have to have some of those people available for that.
For sure. No, that totally makes sense. If there was people that wanted to find Q Charge, where could they find you? Through your website or social media?
Yes, I mean our present is pretty much we are. I'm not gonna say that we are doing a lot of push on those medias. We are still, I would say, small company and word of the mouth, and people already know some of me in this industry, and of my people that they're already working with us. But yes, I mean we do have our website. It's qcharge123.com, and they can easily find pretty much all our informations on there, including our hardware, and they can download also the specifications. Of course, for the price list and all that kind of stuff, they have to engage with us. Start from over there. We are basically doing a business to business. We're open to work with the clients as well directly. All depends, who those clients will be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're pretty very easily approachable. They can reach us through the email, through the phone. I mean, on a phone number that we have also on the website. Mainly, we are letting that to go to the voicemail. Unfortunately, we have a lot of calls that they are non-related to the business. So we are basically, but we're going daily through the voicemails, and then basically within 24 hours we reply back. But the fastest
Awesome.
is through the emails.
That's good. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Sergey. That was a great conversation. I don't know much about the EV side, as you could probably tell by some of my questions, but I loved learning about it, and I loved learning about what you guys do. And it was now I come out with a lot more knowledge on EV infrastructure and EV charging. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me, and glad that I can help spread the word.
No worries. Thank you.